Hello, everyone, and welcome to 1 in 6 Supports Montclair Friday Group. We have speakers today who are going to be talking about New Jersey schools and how we can save them, and they can introduce themselves and give us some background on who they are and what they're helping out with in New Jersey. Thank you so much for um, being here. We are recording this session and it will be on YouTube, so I have everyone's permission to post this. And please be aware that if you use your child's name or your name, it will be public. So if you don't wish to make it public, don't use your name or your child's name. Thank you so much.
Kind of. We're both waiting for the other.
Kathy actually had reached out to Alma and made some connections, and we were amazed by the group and the community you have here. And we came across, started working in Montclair on a project that we were contracted for. And so I want to share a little bit with you about our personal stories, the work that we're doing here, and open it up. We are definitely open to questions. We know there's a lot of controversy about some of the work that's going on. And the way this is kind of rolled out, some of the same concerns you have, I am sure some of the same concerns Kathy and I had when we were first approached for this project. And bottom line, Kathy and Megan are independent in a lot of this work. And so if it is not aligned to what Kathy and Megan are willing to work on, it won't be happening from us. I'm a school psychologist for 15 years in public ed in Pennsylvania. And when we moved to New Jersey 7 years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with dyslexia. People told me right away, you need to get a lawyer. This is going to be a big fight. And I was like, I've been working in the schools for years. Like, this is fine. I don't need a lawyer. I know where the boundaries are with IDA and school law, and I'll be able to navigate this. Boy, was I wrong. And as I navigated the system with the background that I have and realizing how many other parents were struggling, I haven't been able to turn away. So I have not gone back to working in the public schools since I've been in New Jersey. I am certified in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. But I've actually kind of pivoted to work on supporting families and children through that in advocating for special ed and literacy across New Jersey. And some of that work has also gone national with some of the organizations that I work with. One of the organizations I've been working with for a few years, I'd have to go back and look exactly what year, is National Parents Union. And they had a stronghold in New Jersey because some of their national leaders were physically in New Jersey. And so I had got connected with them and started doing some national work, going and speaking on the Hill, presenting at conferences and town halls with parents, and really focusing on that special ed and literacy piece. And through that work and building parent communities here in New Jersey, that I'm really excited. Like, Alma, like, I'm really hoping that you'd offer me a meeting later, because I want to pick your brain. I have a group in Ridgewood. I'm in Ridgewood. That we have a group of 1,000 people in a Facebook group, but we are not organized doing the amazing things you're doing. So I really want to learn more. But it just, there's so much work to be done, and realizing when I do this work at the national level, how much good things are going on in New Jersey, and the engagement of parents here in New Jersey is incredible, and how so many parents like this group, and learning some more of the things about the group here today. The power that Parent Voice has in these spaces, and New Jersey parents in particular are willing to raise that voice. And fortunately, some of us have the resources to make it louder and fight the fight just on principle, because it will help more kids than just the ones we're living with. So that's really the passion that led to this work. And do you want me to talk about the project first, or let you talk about yourself, and then we'll talk about the project?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Let's ask you, since you're sitting there, there might be more people trying to get it, so just admit if they show
Oh,
up.
I don't see any.
Just, keep an eye on that. So
Absolutely.
thank you. Be more people coming in.
See you in a minute. Yep. Will it pop up
Yeah, it'll pop up on the top, yeah.
on the top? Okay.
Okay, so my name's Kathy Haspooner. I'm so aligned with a lot of the things that Megan said. That's actually how we met each other. Um, I am in Ringwood, which is Passaic County. I am the mom of two daughters who have dyslexia. I'm also a speech language pathologist. I have been practicing for 20 years. I am still actively practicing in New Jersey, in a variety of different spaces. I am an independent contractor, which is why I can be in different spaces for that piece. But similar to what Megan had said, when my daughters were having struggles early on in school, same story. I'm a professional in the field. I got this. I have the resources. I know how to navigate this. I was also somebody who trusted the system. And I believe the system would work the way that I had thought it did when I was a professional. My daughters are 13, but I've been a professional for 20 years. So I really just believed in it, for those 7 years. Um, Through trying to get my daughters the supports that they needed, I came to, just like Megan said, the very quick realization of how wrong I was. Um, so and then as you continue to fight for your child to get what your child needs, because at first, I'm sure many of you have the same story. You start to question yourself. Well, what am I doing wrong? Am I saying it wrong? Do they just not like me? All of the things until you ask enough questions, and then you find out there are so many people that have similar stories to you. Um, so, what Megan and I both believe is that parents with groups like this, which is why this is such an amazing space, and I'm so happy to have found you guys, we really do have the power to work collectively to make change in our own districts. Um, okay, go ahead, and then
So, we were approached because of the work. So we both work with lots of organizations, I
Mhm.
think. We met originally, I think, in Decoding Dyslexia, maybe like
Probably.
3 or 4 years ago.
Probably.
And I also sit on the board for LDA New Jersey, which is Learning Disabilities Association, and it's a New Jersey affiliate, and support the New Jersey or the LDA America as well. And then the National Parents Union, Decoding Dyslexia. I'm supporting IDA right now in putting together a parent conference. I founded Read for New Jersey, and then together we've kind of expanded that to Read for All.
Jersey Can, we both
Oh,
done.
Jersey Can, we were both parent fellows. So we've been in this space for a while. And because of that outreach and that network, both with parents, with leadership across the state, with connections, even like making working relationships with some people at New Jersey Department of Ed as well. Making relationships with people at Rutgers that are, rolling out the NJTSS framework and guidance. New Jersey Tiered Systems of Support. And then they have the NJTSS ER, which is New Jersey Tiered Systems of Support for Early Reading. But there's where some of our laws are for the progress monitoring to make sure some of our kids, I guess I shouldn't say law, there's where some of the policy is and the guidance is from the state for the progress monitoring to make sure our kids are making meaningful progress and honing into making sure they're provided with FAPE, free appropriate public education. So through all of that work and networks, there's not a whole lot of organizational work that has a parent network that spreads across New Jersey, across the big system. We have SPAN that has amazing resources to learn the system, to help parents organize in their communities, to arm them with the resources and understanding of the system. But when it gets into things not working the way we hope it would for our individual students, or if districts and parents aren't able to come to a collaborative agreement on how to work together, I think because of the way funding streams, SPAN is not funded to take on those extra fights. And so then the wheels kind of fall off unless amazing groups of parents, like what we're learning here in Montclair, are able to do on their own. And so when Wake Up Call New Jersey was looking to do their project, they reached out to National Parents Union because National Parents Union has parent communities all over the country. And when they reached out to New Jersey, because of the work we have been doing, they reached out. NPU, National Parents Union, didn't have a group functioning in a way to go on this. They use other organizations or parents that are affiliates with them to do the work on the ground. And so that's how it trickled back to us. So I think a lot of the concerns that people have raised in the community about Wake Up Call New Jersey, I'm worried with like being recorded. We had the same concerns and we were very vocal about them. And we were
Can you
vocal.
explain what the concerns were?
Yeah. So some of the concerns were where the funding was coming from and what was the intent. And the biggest concern for us was we were not consulted on what districts were chosen, and they wouldn't tell us this until after we made because it was this big rollout and we weren't privy to it until everything was kind of finalized. And so it was already done by the time we knew, and we didn't have answers in the beginning of why these two districts were chosen for their work. And the approach for us didn't sit with the way we work. And we were vocal about that. So I feel like I can share that, whether this is recorded or not. We were vocal about that when we go in to help parents, it's typically because parents are requesting our help and we're going in. And if the solution requires a district and parents working together, we can't attack the district in that because we need a working relationship. And with Kathy and I's personal work that we do, whether it's with other organizations or under our own name and our private practices, we are always trying to support teachers in this. Our teachers are the people who take care of our kids during the day when we aren't there. And when we ask for things in a school, we need to make sure that ask includes how we support our teachers to facilitate whatever we're advocating for. So the approach did not align with how we did things. And we were really, I think our voice was respected in that we shared things through NPU and aligned to a lot of the same concerns, and then would give the feedback. And so there was a lot of adapting of their messaging and their goals and understanding where parents were in Montclair and what their needs were. And that is kind of, I think, was our role. And we were very much supported by NPU in using that voice. I think that's text, not.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn off those notifications. You?
I have no idea.
I was just trying to see if there was anybody still trying to get in, but I don't see anything popped up.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess I forget, I lost my train of thought, but really focusing on if we're going to do community work, we have to do it collaboratively. And the big thing that popped up when we started all this work, we had no idea about the budget deficit. That wasn't on our radar at all. So that was like, I feel like week one surprise. And we were like, whoa. And so we really did dial back, like our approach. We said, like, we can't go in offering this and that, like, and focusing on the data. We need to like really acknowledge where this district is, and what parents are faced with. So we tried to guide some of that work. And I think we are, like, when you work with some of these bigger organizations, there's usually lots of competing agendas and different people doing work, whether it's, you have the funding piece, you have people who are passionate about the work, and then you have, when they're putting a lot of funding in it, you have people that are just focused on marketing and don't necessarily understand the human and children and educational aspects of this. So I think we were really utilized to try to understand that. And I do think we're in a space with this project, and that if people are willing to share, and we'll share our contact information and things, whether you're willing to share in this meeting or you'd like to have a conversation off record, um, they seem to be responsive to our suggestions of what the community needs are. So currently, most recently, we have told them, um, we need to completely pivot and support underneath how's the district going to work through this financial crisis, and in line with ensuring our children are meeting proficiency in reading, literacy, and math. What supports do they need to keep that going? And are the money that is available, is it being used effectively? And how do we educate parents to kind of dig down for their own individual children, but together as a community? And so what we had been tasked with offering to parents was trainings and understanding your child's data from the district, and how to make requests if you didn't have data to help you understand where they were and what they may need. And then I think our ideas of pivoting have been well received. And there's discussion about other opportunities that they would like to support the community with. Some things that have been floated, nothing decided, but looking at finding ways to offer additional tutoring. We have brought up, because it's been brought up by parents in your community, that professional development for our teachers would be most helpful versus changing everything, or making sure our teachers have what they need to deliver what we already have in place, and that they have the supports within the district, within the school, within the classroom to do it the way it was intended. Like to provide instruction with fidelity, and also collect information, for the teachers to be able to collect information and data on their students to make data informed decisions to support students, and to do that in real time, not waiting. We have the state issue of, we get NJSLA scores so late, and so kids are losing time and wasting time till we're able to make new plans. So those are a lot of the concerns we had. The approach, all I can say is we were not involved in that, and we did not support it, and we were vocal about that, and it was well received. And I do have to say, as we went through some of these conversations, I do think the initial approach was to engage parents, to make them aware, to bring awareness to the concerns, and hope that parents would then, once they were aware, knowing that it's a community like Montclair, that has a strong parent community, they would organize and start conversations and working on it. When they first started rolling this out, they had no plans of bringing us in. But when parents didn't organize and were upset, they're like, we need to get parents that speak parent to talk about this. And in that approach of supporting parents and understanding, that is something Kathy and I align to. Attacking the school district and I think just creates another hurdle in addition to the budget of getting to a solution that supports our kids, their families, their teachers. And so that's what Kathy and I are aligned to, in this work. And I mean, we can keep sharing about projects, but if parents have questions, if you want to put them in the chat, if you want, I don't know if the chat's recorded, or if they have the option to put it in there anonymously, or if you want to text Alma questions.
Okay, I'm gonna read what someone
Yeah.
texted me. The National Parents Union supports school choice scholarship programs that provide students with resources to seek other school options, including private school, micro school, and homeschool options. We believe these programs must be accessible to families from low-income communities, special education students, and other marginalized groups as a priority.
It's a matter of, right? So, I mean, everyone's going to have a different path for what's right for their child, right? Megan and I both have students in public school. That's also not necessarily the answer for every single child all of the time. I think our role here is really just to bring our expertise, our experience with other communities that we've had, um, and help parents ask questions that would be helpful for like action-oriented solutions. And the more that we've done this work, the more that we've found many of us have the same exact questions. So I think part of the work is finding collectively what hurdles we're all faced with, and how to work collaboratively to find solutions, whether that is in any setting.
And what I would say too, because we've gotten this question a lot, and I know NPU gets it a lot, and so I've heard their answering. I'm not an employee of NPU. I'm just a parent leader and an affiliate. And then I was contracted as my independent person to do this work. But NPU's stance that they have shared is that they support parents and children. And so whatever that parent and child needs, that's what they support. So they're not against charter schools, but they're also not like building them or promoting them. So I think when it comes to New Jersey and Megan Beerley and Kathy Hasburner, us and our beliefs, our work is aligned to public school. And that was a conversation we had not only with NPU, but also with Wake Up Call New Jersey through NPU, because we didn't have a whole lot of meetings. We've only had one meeting, I think, with Wake Up Call New Jersey. All of our work has been only through NPU. But we told them very clearly when we started getting some of these concerns that if there was another agenda for this, that we weren't the people for this work, because we are only supporting public schools. And my personal belief, I won't speak for Kathy, but my personal belief is if we don't support our public schools, whatever that other option isn't accessible to everybody. And I'm not going to be a part of it, because we need good quality education with appropriate instruction and our children making meaningful progress for all kids. And when I say all kids, I mean all kids. So it needs to be accessible for everyone.
I mean, same. We know I think we were saying before we started recording is a lot of the hurdles that we're having, I believe we have the solution to. And the solution is not let's just forget public school as an option and go to a charter or wherever. It's, I mean, again, I'm very action oriented. So if this is the problem that many of us are having, I do believe that we do have the tools and resources on how to overcome those hurdles, but it's about us working together rather than working in silos. Somebody raised their hand. Oh,
Yeah, somebody there?
yeah, you want us to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, did I hit the wrong?
Can you unmute yourself, or do we have to unmute them?
I can do it. I think, yeah, I'm the only one with my hand raised.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for your presentation. My kids are back in the public schools. They were out for a few years, and my younger one was homeschooling. And she's the one who I'm trying to summarize, like she has PANS, but she mostly deals really well in school and academically. She's like very high achieving. It's the emotional dysregulation piece that gets us, and a lot of it comes out at home, majority of it at home. My question is, I'm struggling. I've always had like really low expectations of public school. I had higher earlier before COVID, but then, everything fell apart. And now I just feel like, okay, if the kids can just get by and have a few good teachers, that's good enough. I don't feel like I can change the whole system. However, my question is, my younger one is very observant, and she comes home and, part of it is like the emotional piece, but she reports things about teachers that are really disturbing. And to the extent that, I can sort of filter out her perception, I think these things are happening, like teachers making inappropriate jokes, definitely favoring certain students, a lot of yelling. She's at Glenfield, a lot of yelling, even from like her favorite teachers. So she'll say to me, I think Miss So-and-so has emotional dysregulation. She'll be calm 1 second, and the next minute she's screaming. Who do I take these concerns to? Do I meet with the teachers? I feel like that's so pointed to say, my kid says you're yelling a lot. Do I go to the principal? Like, where do I go?
But that's where parents working together has got more power. And that's exactly what I meant by silos, right? Because when I go to my district, I mean, I've become like the problem for my district. I've become the crazy mom, and I think a lot of us are in that space. Um, but it's a matter of working through communities like this, finding other parents that are having similar issues, and then like Megan said, it's not about attacking the district either, right? Finding out maybe this teacher's not supported and she doesn't have the resources, and it's causing her to act in ways that are not going to support the students too. Um, Working collectively, it reaching out through I don't so part of what I guess Megan, so maybe now we'll talk about our Facebook group.
Yeah, let me just add one more, like a little bit more to your specific question though, because if you've had some parent teacher conferences or different things, sometimes you can feel out like that teacher and just saying these are some things she's coming home with, and I'm guessing that there's some stress in the classroom, and kind of get the teacher's perception of things, and maybe she'll share some things and you'll see it and you'd be able to have a conversation. But I think that is hard for a parent to approach a teacher who's the student is, sharing. If you wanted, your guidance counselor or your principal would be probably two people you could talk to. I feel like with our local control, sometimes the staffing systems and structures are a little bit different, but those would be the first two staff people that I would think. And just say, I know this is my child's perception, but this is her lived experience in the classroom, and it's interfering with her learning experience and enjoyment with school and probably interaction with peers, and wherever you think it's affecting her, naming it. And what can we do? And what are the underlying issues that may be causing it? And in any profession, we can have, players that are not the right fit for the role that they're in. And so I don't want to condone behavior that is harmful or upsetting to our kids. At the same time, I know there are times teachers may act out of character because they are spread really thin. And I think as parents, we can all recognize that we've all kind of let go some of our emotional regulation from time to time. But when you're in a position where you're in charge of, 20, 25 kids, and they're learning, there's a boundary you need to have in that role. And if there's things that aren't being provided or needed, whether advocating for yourself, taking a break, like whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, to be the person you need to be in that classroom for the kids is important. But I also think that there's times with teachers that things are happening in our classrooms, and even peer interactions that a teacher may not interact with because they're spread so thin or have so many tasks asked of them without the appropriate support. And that becomes a district issue. And some of the things that I hear about teachers from time to time, I can really relate that to they haven't had appropriate professional development. So in one thing, like, has your teacher had appropriate professional development in executive functioning to support children with executive functioning issues, or to scaffold the learning in the classroom for the age group she works with, or to differentiate in certain subject matters? Like, does he or she have the training that they need to do what they're asked to do? And is the expectation and the responsibilities she's asked to do aligned with the structure of the class caseload and time frame and all of that? Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you. I made some notes because I think the wording is really helpful. And I noticed I taught last year for the first time middle schoolers, and I had taught at, sort of the college level or grad students or adults, and I was shocked by, it was like in a little alternative school. I just assumed like students would come with their notebooks and their pens and and they would. And then I realized, and fortunately there was like a parent in the community who was a really experienced teacher. and she guided me a little bit, and I realized like how much we had to go back to basics. Like today you will need
Yeah.
your spiral bound notebook and here is a pencil, right? So I can see, but what's interesting to me is that the one of them is a very experienced teacher and the other one seems quite new, and the level of the lack of skill to manage the classroom is equal, which is really kind of shocking to me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
There's a
so
lot,
much for
there's
that.
a lot out there that shows that teachers, especially in the literacy space, but not just the literacy space, teachers are not given the training that they need to be able to support their students in their classroom.
And
Mhm.
many of our teachers, especially general ed teachers, have only had 1 or 2 classes in their whole training for
Mhm.
special ed. One of the examples I used to always use with some of my teachers when I worked in the schools was, you tell the child, be a good listener, pay attention, and be a good boy. And I shouldn't even say boy, but that's a whole nother issue of, implicit bias there. And they what we're not doing is that direct explicit instruction, and we're assuming that kids come into our classrooms and know what being a good listener looks like, when actually we need to back up and say, so being a good listener in Mrs. Smith's class means we sit with our feet on the floor, our knees are under our desk, our hands are on top of our desk, we're facing forward, and our mouth is closed. All the things you want them to do, plus we need to model it. And how often do we see in classrooms, that you guys quiet and do your work, but I'm going to stand here and drink my coffee and talk while you're supposed to be doing your work. And there's no problem with the teacher drinking coffee. I want to let them have their coffee in the classroom. But the whole point is we need to explicitly teach these skills because they are not innate skills. We created school. It's not something our brains were wired to do.
I have a question
Yeah.
from someone here. Why are, I guess, is your group not advocating the state for more funds for public education, like more funds for teacher training and professional development?
It has to start with the parents. I mean, that is part of what's on the radar for myself and Megan. But it's similar to what we said a minute ago of if I go to my principal or even my superintendent as one single parent, I'm not going to get very far, and maybe I'll get a solution or a band-aid or some way to frankly make me go away. It's not going to change the system. But if I have a group of parents now approaching administration the same way, and I mean, again, it's not about attacking, it's about having a conversation about where we can both come to the table equally, each side supporting the other side. Um, there's it's a much more powerful conversation. So it's building these groups from the ground up, making changes locally, and then once you have that force, that's where you go to the state level.
So, and I think we are doing that work, not with this project.
Mhm.
This project was very narrow focused. We are doing that work in our other organizations. I think we can tell them about Parents for Reading Justice
Sure.
and our but I'm just going to share this too and why parents need to be involved, because I've been sitting on a lot of state level committees and working with state level organizations and having those conversations. And I've been on calls probably 3 nights already this week just on trying to celebrate and highlight IDEA as we try to really just make some noise around the dismantling of our federal Department of Education. So those conversations are happening. It's not addressed in this work. This was just very narrow and very quick uh, timing. So, but what I'm finding in the state level work that I'm doing, when I go and I sit on these committees, I am often the only one of three. Like one of the committees, there I think we're 70 people. 3 of us were parents that had the experiences to speak up about.
Mhm.
So we, it's, and even some of these committees that have parent seats, they
Mhm.
get filled by school administrators that wear parent hats.
Mm.
And it's happening a lot.
Wow.
And I'm talking about it. And I'm bringing it up and I'm letting state leaders know. And I'm letting state leaders know that like to post things in public spaces know. So we're having those conversations, but groups like this, like me being able to go, and I'm not taking any of this now, but like if you reached out to me and said, hey, Megan, this is what's going on, and we want to elevate, we want to make people aware this is what's going on. We know it's happening in Montclair, but it's also happening all over, you know, we have all these other communities. I would be like, okay, what meetings do you want to set up? And let's go and meet with these people and tell them. And I'll tell you, half the time, these leaders haven't heard it before. And we're like, we're so grateful you came and met with us. We had no idea.
Mhm.
Like, tell me. And then,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
I know you've done this work a while.
Yeah. They, oh, what a surprise.
Yeah.
And then you talk to people who
Yeah.
spoke to them a year ago and they were saying the same
Same
thing.
thing.
Sure.
Right,
So
right.
it's
I
very
know.
common.
It's like
Um,
eventually we're generating amnesia.
Yeah, it just keeps
Mhm.
year after
Yeah,
year.
Yeah.
Question.
Yep.
Why these two districts? Why Montclair and why West Windsor? I mean, out of all the districts in New Jersey, what is it about Montclair and is it West Windsor?
Yeah.
It is West Windsor, and it's like what Megan.
West Windsor Plainsboro is the name of the district.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
why those two? Because some of the concerns that people are texting me are that this is, that they haven't gotten a straight answer about why, and so that's
Mhm.
disconcerting.
Like Megan had said, once we were pulled into the project,
Uh-huh.
those two districts were already selected.
But why aren't they
What-
telling you
Well, so
those two are being
They
selected?
gave out the, and I don't
Yeah.
have it off the top of my head, but we have that. I can look it up on my phone.
Yeah,
They have their official response,
okay.
but it was really that organizations have been pumping money into since the pandemic and things, the tutoring and the lower resource districts and things, and they're not seeing a lot of gains. And so their approach was, if we go to districts who have strong parent groups, those parents will, or they thought if they did a media campaign, the parents would just organize themselves once
And
they
that's the
were
wake-up
aware.
call New Jersey?
That's the wake up
Mhm,
call New
mhm.
Jersey. Would just organize themselves. And once they were aware, it would be like, oh my gosh, like we need to fix this. And that's where, when that didn't work or that didn't play out that way, they brought us in to try to build, because they know that parent groups
Mhm.
make changes happen.
Yeah.
And it's also, from what we were told, these are two relatively high performing districts, and it's a matter of their way of creating transparency of this happens everywhere, right? A lot of times we'll talk about our lower socioeconomic districts. And yeah, like Megan said, all of the resources do go there, but there's problems everywhere too. And even in these two particular districts, there's a lot of work to be done.
It was, and I think they chose specifically these two because people come here for the schools, right?
Mhm.
You pay a lot in taxes.
Mhm.
And then you rely on your schools to be getting something for that. And when that's not happening, they see that parents will advocate to make changes. And so I think it was let's see if we can go like change tactics instead of just resourcing the under-resourced districts. Let's see if we could make real state level change if we go in and they wanted to provide trainings and supports and resources and continue to build this work. I think the budget crisis going on right now, where like parents can't, like they've got, we have hair on fire problems.
Yeah.
Parents can't focus on training. We need to know, what are we going to do for the rest of this year and next year? We have teachers being let go in the next month, right?
Yeah.
Month, 2 months, whatever, like possible.
Yeah.
Possible. So like we need to do something like right now. So they were responsive and like we stopped that initial agenda of getting parents trained and resources to do the advocacy work. and trying to be responsive of what does the community need and what can we provide to provide supports in the need right now.
Are there any rival groups, that are,
I
that
don't
are?
think so.
I don't even, I mean, that doesn't even align to no, I haven't heard of it. And it also doesn't necessarily align to the conversation that we're having. If there was another group doing similar work, I mean, I would think
try
that
to
we would
partner.
Yeah, I only
welcome.
ask because there's a
Yeah.
lot of concern, some of the parents are texting me
Mhm.
that their real agenda is charter schools, the money that you're getting is, it's not transparent what the real agenda is, so I don't know,
So like, I mean, we can only say it so many, but Megan and I are not for that.
Yeah.
If there is an agenda, it's
And-
secret to us too.
Mhm.
But I mean, there hasn't been a single conversation. There hasn't been, I don't want to say a threat, but there hasn't been anything that's aligned to a conversation like that
Mhm.
yet. And we've been here for a few months.
Okay.
And I don't think so. Part of it too, because the political piece of it and how things aligned with timing, and then real like how it aligned with the timing of elections started to raise a lot of concerns, right?
That's why.
Yeah. And so I was bringing, or we were bringing those concerns as well.
Was that intentional? The timing of it?
I
No,
don't
just-
think it was. I really don't think it was, only because they started this last March, and the as they were like rolling things out, that was never in the discussion with us. And then when parents started bringing the discussion and the connections with the political pieces, um, uh, just that it's the town Mickey Sherrill's from, it's the town, and that, Laura Overdeck is publicly, it's known she's Republican and different things. So is there an agenda that way? The way we have set up the work, there's no information when we have these parent meetings and discussions. We're talking about the concerns systemically, but parents I talked to, I didn't even share their contact information. Like there was no transfer back to Wake Up Call New Jersey to use what I was using, because we came to this knowing that we're only here to support a community, and we have a lot of resources and networks to do that personally, which is why we were tasked with this. And resources, I just mean networks. I don't have any funding, I'm sorry. But then as this was like trickling out, and I guess we also were very clear when these questions started happening. The one Tafshir Cosby, who's one of the project director, I guess, of this program with National Parents Union, and a fellow New Jersey, and she's in Newark. I was very clear with her. I said, you've known my work for a really long time. If I'm being set up to use this in any other way than public education, you're not paying me enough to sell my integrity or the work that I've done here. And I walk. Like, I don't care that I won't get a cent for any of this because I am not being part of any of that. She's like, Megan, I would never, like I have a really good relationship with NPU, and they know I am public school only, and they take me to DC, they take me to meet with legislators, and my work has to be nonpartisan. We cannot fix education if I go with either side. And so the alignment with Wake Up Call New Jersey, NPU, both are nonpartisan. Wake Up Call New Jersey, it's like Laura Overdeck is Republican, and lots of information has been shared with me that people dig up. But she touts that this work is nonpartisan. Our work is nonpartisan. National Parents Union, nonpartisan, but also gets some flack of leaning left. So again, if any of those are to be believed true, they lean two different directions, and Kathy and I are nonpartisan and in the middle again, showing that we will work with anybody if we are focused on education. And bottom line, if there was a way, like with Wake Up Call New Jersey, if they're focused on public education, which is what they've been telling us, and when they're responsive to things, I'm not getting any, I'm happy to keep asking the questions and having them put public comments out. I can't speak for them. And they've responded in doing that when we've asked them to. And I guess, like you said, if there was a hidden agenda somewhere, it's hidden from us too, and they know we won't participate in it.
Right.
So,
And nobody's asked us for our contacts either, right? Like Megan had said, like neither one of us have shared.
there's no information going back to them to be able to be used.
Right.
Like if you're thinking like, well, they're going to take this data and then try to open a charter, they
Yeah.
don't have any data from us.
Yeah.
And we're not planning on taking your data. We want to teach you how to read it so
Mhm.
you can use it to advocate in the schools.
We were told from the beginning, and Megan and I are still under the premise of, under these parent trainings or supporting the budget, kind of having it all work together. Um, it's a matter of providing what we know, our expertise in the area to the community, but then we're out. It's not nobody here is looking to kind of stay permanently or dictate any sort of philosophy
The
agenda.
deliverable was for us to organize and educate and provide resources to a parent group. And once we do that, we'll move on somewhere else.
Yeah.
That was like, it's so I don't, with all of that and the fact that they keep moving forward and they're not getting anything on the back end, right now, I don't have any reason to believe that that wasn't their sincere approach.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
no,
so-
no, no.
and
No, I
so-
want you to, and I know we've had these conversations
Yeah.
for the last several months,
Yeah.
and it is the number one question.
Mhm.
So
It
we
is.
fully expected them today,
Yeah.
and
If we're going to be transparent, let's talk about it too, because I mean, we said from the beginning, if we can't trust one another, it's not gonna work.
and I
Yeah.
and
But-
I don't think they would have invested in us doing this work. I'm very public with the work that I do. If anybody wants to follow me on social media, join any of my groups. I've got a CPAG leader group that I share out resources. I have a New Jersey special education parent community with resources and discussion. My Read for New Jersey, Read for All, and then I start with parents, supporting parents in building advocacy groups within their district for reading. So like I have Read for Ridgewood, and we have a parent committee that's meeting with our district and trying to make changes and make sure that those investments we're putting into PD and new curriculums and different things are aligned to what our children really need. But this is the work that I'm doing all the time, every day, and most of it is volunteer.
Yeah.
And I keep a very small caseload of my private clients. And so when we were approached for this and looking at, well, if their plan is to build parent groups and truly provide them with education, this is the stuff we've been doing in our volunteer roles already. And if it could have funding to then we do it in a community like Montclair, and then we move on to other districts, and we're providing resources to build those networks. A lot similar to what I think you've built here. This could be part of the way we make we get those big systemic changes in those conversations at the state about the funding, because if you got your group in Montclair and I've got mine in Ridgewood and she has one in Ringwood, and we've got connections in Central and South too. But if we have all these groups and they're all saying the same things, even if we don't have 600 districts saying the same things, if we've got 20 districts saying the same things all over New Jersey, and we've got groups as strong as this one and as strong as Ridgewood Special Moms and Dads and all the things, we start making changes and they start listening because we're voting for the people making the decisions.
Somebody went off mute and then was there a question?
Oh yeah, it was me. Hi. So I do have a question. Now that I'm just unclear after understanding all of the kind of mess that we're in Montclair, what are the next steps for Wake Up Call New Jersey in Montclair? I mean, understanding that we already are fighting these fights, and it just really felt very divisive, and it felt very like painful to be hit with this at a time when we're already going through all this. And also when like, this is a really incredible group. And we do advocate for ourselves. And I think that, year after year we've gone, and I hear what you're saying from a state level, going together as a group to the state level. I think that there is, merit in that. But I would just really like to know what the plan is going forward and how much more we expect to see the billboards and it just really feels like poking a sore spot right now.
They did do some rebranding or some remarketing that I think is much more palatable, and I think that is still going to come out. After the next round of things you see, I don't know anything past that next round for the marketing. They have been really responsive to our suggestions, and NPU has their own suggestions too. And this, like, I just need to say too, because I feel like there's like information that you and I are sometimes missing. So I'm just going to be transparent too. So we're contracted with NPU. NPU meets with Wake Up Call New Jersey. Kathy and I've only met with Wake Up Call New Jersey on one meeting. And it was a public meeting. So we are not, I don't think we have all of the information of all of their plans because we were contracted just for this narrow like vision of work, but they are being responsive because they know that we connect with parents, and National Parents Union does too, but not at the local level the way that we do. And so they are being responsive. And I think right now they're being very inquisitive of what could be the next plans. And I don't know if it was while we were recording or if maybe I said it before, but some of the things being floated was bringing more tutoring, especially when we're thinking about the budget crisis of things. Would more tutoring help support some of the loss of that in some way? Another thing that has been floated that is directly because parents here have brought it to our attention and then we took it and just keep pushing it there is, if you really care about making a difference here, why don't you train our teachers? Why don't you put the money in that? And then when we see the budget crisis, and so we've taken that and I think it's being considered, but in terms of like just sending it to them and them having a plan, they really are wanting us, but also I think it could be, you guys are already organized. If you want it to be you organize and we create some kind of bridge with talking with them and we step out of it, if that would help make the like build the relationship and trust, we can step out of it. And I think I would, if it was me, I don't want somebody outside of my community or district deciding what we need. I want to be the voice of what that is. So I think that if we could build this parent group, or a parent committee, because you already have a group, I don't want to say build another, but if there could be a committee that wants to focus on some of these issues, my assumption is there's funding to make it happen. So having a team that says these are the areas that we're having struggles with that our data shows, this is the training or the programs our teachers need to fill these gaps. Our district's in a budget crisis. How are we going to do that? That would be a conversation. Like right now with the information that's been shared with me, that's a conversation I would love to facilitate for you. I don't want to tell you what you need exactly because it's your kids. I want to elevate your voice. What do you need and how do we get that? Or is there pressure to be put on how the money that is in the district is allocated effectively? Or if the state monitor is coming in, what are the focuses? Like if you have a state monitor here, let's make sure everything is getting, addressed the way it needs to be for your kids and for your community. Because ultimately, this is your community and the people in some of the leadership positions of this, like a state monitor is in and out only to protect the loan, right? You're here for your community. And that is what I believe we were tasked to do to support. And that's all we would participate in. We're not going to tell you what to do. We want to take the ideas from you of what you need. How do we build it? And if there's trainings that either Kathy and I can provide or resources to bring those trainings with another professional that would be more suited, like those are the conversations I would facilitate happening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody? Anybody online have any more questions? It's almost 11. It is 11.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to run really quick because I have
Yeah.
another meeting at noon.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having
Sounds
us.
like an ongoing discussion is needed.
Should we
And-
share our
Oh, yeah.
before is it okay to
Yeah.
say one more thing? Okay, so we have created
I'm gonna
a
go ahead and talk, and I'm gonna put our emails in the chat.
okay. If you are interested in continuing the conversation, we have created a Facebook group. It is Montclair Parents for Student Success. You could join anonymously. We don't we don't care. But it's a matter of continuing to keep the conversation going if there's other concerns that haven't been addressed, anything like that. Because I mean, again, it's really just a space to continue to work together.
And I'll just also share that if you join the Facebook group and that community starts taking off, the goal would be to have your community take that group over.
You wanna
Like
put
we
the
would,
Facebook group in the chat. Can we?
I don't know how to.
Oh, well, I mean, if you just put the name of it, no.
I don't know. I can
Um,
hold it up, and if somebody wants to like,
Or Alma's got the
Take a
information too.
picture.
You could share it out.
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
forward it.
Because Alma, I know that you joined yesterday, the group. If
Yeah.
you have a way to share it out, if that's okay with you.
yeah, people can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
nobody is being forced to do anything.
No,
It's
nobody's
okay
forced.
to- No, I'll share the information and people can join if they want.
and maybe the Facebook group isn't necessary if like you already have a group of your own and how you communicate. If a committee wanted to use that group for the conversations around this, we did make it private, so and
Join,
I'd
you can
ha-
accept it.
I'd
Yeah.
be happy to like if there's parents that want to lead that. That's another piece, and I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
can
where
step
that
in.
stands now, but
Yeah.
there was funding and it may still be available. Parents who would want to lead the committee on this, there's funding for 4 leaders for stipends.
Okay.
So, the goal would be like if there's somebody that you already know in your community is like, yeah, let's like at least wrap around this, and wants to be a leader, we'll make you an admin on that group and let you pick and choose who comes in so that you know who's in that group. It's private and those conversations can be had.
And I mean, again, it's something that we don't plan on being a part of permanently. Like,
So we'd step out of it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Very
thank you.
informative. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And have a good Thanksgiving.